Hello, hello, YouTube people. So, about just over 3 weeks ago, I purchased a Kastking Mela 2 1000 size spinning reel. This is the one right here. It is a 1000 size, but the funny thing is, in a 1000 size, the spool's so well designed that it holds 240 yards of 4-pound line, which is, to me, is significant because I do a lot of deep water jigging and slip bobber technique. It is this way because the bearings, instead of being in the back of the reel for the shaft, are actually on the shaft, and there's a single one in the back where the handle turns, where this portion is. There's only a bearing in here. The rest of them are actually on the shaft, and I've been informed by somebody that viewed the video on the mela from before that it's called honeycomb. I said it was something else, and I can see why now. I mean, I see the pattern, and it would make sense to me, but I don't know that it lightens up a substantial amount, but this reel is very heavy for its size. It's very well constructed. There are a couple inconsistencies, which I intend to work on one of them today. I'm about to clean it for the first time. Some of the waters that go on are significantly dirty, and it needs to be maintained. So, the first one, the most important one, is in the drag dial, which actually houses the washers themselves. It's got a space around the perimeter. You can see it right there in the camera. I mean, it's fairly obvious. So if you have limp line, like if you're sitting there and you're gauging the line for if a bobber is being taken, or it's just slack line from a cast and you're about ready to close it, it can get stuck under that. There's also been times where I've had the line get back under here and get onto the middle shaft, and it's not been something that's revealed itself to me until all of a sudden I can't cast or I can't reel. It was actually so bad that I actually had to take that cap off and cut the line out once. So there are some inconsistencies. Now, I will say it's not that big a deal on the whole, because the benefits to this reel far outweigh those two things. So I take it with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? The bearings in the middle of the shaft are just amazing, and a brilliant move by the Chinese company that makes this. One of the other things that detracts me from this reel, though, is that the bail, the spring, is just, it's weak as fuck. It clips back closed, but there are times where it'll get stuck in it, and all of a sudden I'll see my line trying to float off when I hit a fish. So whenever I cast, I make sure that it's closed, and I usually manually close the bail on a spinning reel. Believe it or not, most people don't realize it, but you're not supposed to crank the handle to close the bail. You're supposed to close it manually. They were never really intended to just shut closed with spinning it. You can. It's just easy, more longevity on your reel to do by hand, and it really takes a second longer. So it's super smooth. There's a couple of points where it kind of contacts and slows down a little bit occasionally. I'll feel it. I'm thinking that when I take all the original butter out and put the Cal's real butter in here, which is a legendary substance. It's had an original recipe that has not changed since like the 30s. It probably will improve everything. So I'm not really worried about it. I love this reel, though, for the cost it was. It was only like $30 on eBay. It is, without a doubt, on par with the performance of reels like 5 times as much. The drag alone, the drag goes up to like 18 pounds on a fucking ultralight. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I put 4-pound line on this. The first day I went out with my slip bobber, I got a 9.5-pound catfish channel cat on, and it started stripping the line the fuck off. I was like, oh shit, here we go. So I tightened down pretty tight to where it could just barely pull line. It took me 30 minutes to get that sucker in because I was on an ultra light. But I got that fucker in, and this reel did it. This little thing fucking carried that. I've had 7-8 pound bass since getting this 3 weeks ago that I have gotten in because of this reel. So I'm not going to detract from Kastking in any way. I actually like their lines too, believe it or not. Their copolymers are good lines. They're a little bit cheaper than most lines, but unfortunately I have not seen them sell a master spool of such yet. So currently I use AN40 silver thread in 4-pound line. I got a 3,000 foot spool for like $20 on eBay. So there's also McCoy's Mean Green, which I like. It's really tough for its break strength. It goes well beyond what it's rated. The problem with McCoy is that the line handling characteristics suck ass. It starts getting wave and coil like right off the bat, but it's strong as shit. So I have that 6-pound line on my girlfriend's rod. I prefer to stay with 4-pound on my ultralight. It allows me a better presentation, smaller lures and baits, and it goes through my slip bobber really quick. So there are points to it, but I was going to take a moment to turn this off of the reel so I could show you the shaft. Now this reel is specifically designed by the company that makes Kastking in China to be easy for an everyday person to maintain. You can actually take this thing all the way off and take it down in like 2 minutes. I'm not going to do that. I'm just general cleaning. It's not an expensive enough reel for me to want to send to somebody to maintain. I'll do it on my own. There is this faint smell of almost like when an electronic, like a wire, melts. I'm not sure why that is. I can tell you though that it is a butter smooth apparatus. Now, like I said, this bail at the back part, it's got a lot of play in it. It's not cool. I'm hoping that if I screw around with the screw points that I can tighten it up a little bit. It does, however, lock very tight, and it doesn't lend itself to just closing off the bat unless you pull it from further back. So like I said, my preference is not to do that, but if you can look on here and see, there's the bearings right there. And you'll see that there is a spacer in there as well. So there's 3 and a black spacer, and it's got all these little tiny pieces to it. And then there's the one that's on the inside here, which I believe the one in here is a little bit bigger than these. But it's a simple design, and when I buy a reel, I look for simplicity over everything else. I do not like complexity in reels. They lend themselves to breaking and needing to be repaired often. I don't like that. The last time I bought a bait caster before my first new one, which was a Shimano Chronarch 7-to-1 ratio, I had not had a new bait caster in over 15 years. I still had the 2, an Abu Garcia round reel and a Quantum bait cast, all the way back from the mid-late 80s that my dad had got me for my fishing. I have not bought new equipment until I got that. I used all old. I had an old Fenwick bait cast rod. Back then I didn't know shit about actions or anything else. I knew it was a stiff stick. It had a real thick base to it. I put my Quantum on there. That was my everything bait cast. And, you know, I slayed bass, but I didn't know about pressures for pulling lures out of mouths versus soft setting the hook and all those things. Now, because of the experience I have now, I know that choices like this from my ultralight are good, and the reasons for why in that. So I endorse Kastking's Mela 2 ultralight. I expected all the sizes of the Mela 2 all the way through the largest to be just as good. I would expect the drag system is even higher on the bigger ones because, of course, they're bigger reels and they can afford to put bigger gear in there. But I'm telling you, if you buy an ultralight and you want a low price point and you're going to go and spend $150 on like an Abu Revo, fuck that noise, man. Get the same size in a Mela 2. You're not going to be disappointed. It's improved over the last year model of the Mela 2, and it's significant. It's got a total of, it says 10 ball bearings. So there's 3 here, and there's more in here. I'm sorry, I thought it was just 1, but apparently there's a lot more in there. But good God, I mean, it's smaller in size and it's simpler than any of the other ultralights I've ever had. Not to mention the fact, and this is a little touch that a lot of people wouldn't care about. This is the anti-reverse on-off switch. You'll notice how it's way the fuck up to almost to the base here. Way, way, way up there, right? Most of them are right about here. People switch them on and off all the time on accident. You can't do it on this one. You have to. And it's a hard switch. But, you know, you got completely instant anti-reverse. And when you switch it, it's just instant back. It really is, for such a low price point reel, a really badass reel. It really is phenomenal. You got to go out and get one. If not at a retailer on eBay for ultralight. It's a good general purpose ultralight reel. It would handle walleye and smallmouth all day long. It handles panfish like there's no tomorrow. It really is just, it's just a sick ass reel for a $30 reel.